Very few times do you get to have very serious conversations with friends, people that you know, people that you enjoy having conversations with. And today on the Shaft Conversations, that's what I have the privilege of doing. You would hear jokes, you would hear teasers, you would hear funny moments with somebody I consider a friend. I can't say whether he considers me a friend, but I consider him a friend. And today I'm on the episode with Nasir. Nasir, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
He's been evading an invite for almost 6 months. Let me just put that out there. It's taken him 6 solid months to decide to have a harmless conversation with me. What happened?
Yeah, I'm still not on board with this. I haven't consented to this. We'll see how this goes. So let's see.
You sound like you're under duress. But yeah, it's nice to have you on the podcast.
Yeah.
And also, I just wanted to do a very, very huge appreciation to Dream Factory HK, also known as Taken with Focus. Now, there's an episode that they are hosting us for and shooting in their studios. Amazing production, 2 amazing people that I really want to appreciate. And also, in the end, I really want you to check them out on Instagram. I'll definitely add their links and their connections to the description of this podcast, so you can definitely check them out. But yeah, let's start this episode. One thing that we share, aside, I do better jokes than you. I was about to say aside the jokes, but one thing that we share is the fact that we are both immigrants in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I moved here, I think, about 6 months before you did, which means technically I'm your senior brother in Hong Kong. And so you should be treating me with a lot more seniority.
Yeah. But I don't think you've traveled enough, though, if you want to go...
That's not
with
the
respect
point.
to experience in Hong Kong.
Who mentioned experience? I just said
Sure.
I'm your senior brother in Hong Kong because I've been here longer.
Okay.
I don't think people are older based on their experience. You were born in 1999, but you are younger because you've not traveled than somebody who was born in 2002.
Fair enough.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, as immigrants, one of the key things that people talk about, especially with modern day, immigration has become a big part of people's lives. Like with access to applications to overseas jobs, the breakthrough of the internet, online, LinkedIn, Facebook, like Indeed, so many different job application platforms has made it easy for people who are professionals from other countries to just move, regardless of whether it is from a developing country to a developed or from a developed country to a developing country. And one of the things that people have heard the most profound descriptions in terms of experience has been that when you become an immigrant, you don't quite belong anywhere. Your natives or the home that you came from starts to feel as though you are no more part of them. That there's this sense of, quote unquote, sometimes superiority from a social status point that's ascribed to you, and inferiority from a cultural point that's ascribed to you. That you are now socially ahead of them, but culture-wise, you are beneath them. And so you don't quite fit into the family or the community anymore. Unfortunately, where you are, you're also not a native. Like you're in Hong Kong, we're both here. We are not natives. And so you don't go around speaking Mandarin or Cantonese with people around. And so you start to feel as though you experience an identity crisis. You don't fit in anywhere. I don't know whether that description of the immigrant experience applies to you. And if not, what exactly is your experience as an immigrant and how would you interact with this?
See, the way I look at it is that I think because I've lived my whole life in Pakistan, right? 28 years, 29 years. It's just that I feel when we move to a new place, we're so disconnected from the daily shenanigans that are happening. So we're no longer part of those friend circles, those hangouts, etc. So I think there is some sort of distance that does come with that. So everyone progresses with their own life. I progress with mine over here. They progress with theirs over there. So there's a bit of a disconnect that does come in. So that's why I think you feel like, okay, they're going on in their own way. We're going on in our own way. So there's a disconnect that definitely does come. When you come to a new place, obviously you're figuring out with respect to language, like you mentioned, with other things, things that you're trying to get used to over here as well. You're trying to build your own world, kind of, making new friends, trying to not only be an immigrant over here, but also immigrate your life from there to here as well. So I think there's a certain difference, and you're in the middle at that point. And it definitely affects because I personally I really like to hang out with my friends back home. We gather around for board games, etc. But I think over here it's a struggle now because I have to find those people who might enjoy it, or the same people who might, I can relate to or have fun with in these situations. Because you never think these uh, all of these things through when you're in your hometown. But over here now you have to think it through. People in different cultures, how would they perceive? Even when you're talking about jokes, like all jokes don't stick here, especially with language. Like sometimes I think of a joke in my own language. I'm like, oh, that's funny.
How do you translate?
When I translate it, I'm like, oh, that's I don't know if that's funny anymore. So it definitely does play around with you, and you definitely feel a bit, alone in situations like that. Because when I moved over here, I came here alone. You came here alone as well. But I think because I had to figure that out for myself, maybe find friends. But it was a struggle for sure. I think it wasn't that easy, especially with the way the houses are and the way that experience is. I think because we're used to like bigger houses. So over here, it's very different. The market's pretty expensive. So I think that's also one of the reasons why you just use the apartment home for just sleeping. So it's been a struggle in that sense for sure.
That's quite interesting. One thing you mentioned is just infrastructure construction and how that changes the way you interact with people. Because also back home in Ghana, a lot of places are constructed as, they're called compound houses. Right? Where when I was growing up, you have your section, there's an uncle living the other section with his family, there's an auntie living the other section with this family. And you wake up and there are like 13 or 14 people in the house to talk to. Over here, the infrastructure is designed in a way that you are alone. Like there's no explicit way to say that you are alone in that infrastructure. You enter your room, you come out, and it's your door and a hallway. There is no one you are seeing or speaking to, and there's no compound there for you to interact with people. And so it's like it reinforces the notion that you don't.
I think even with places that are big, or even if you have neighbors, I don't think that the interaction is the same.
No.
So I would hesitate interacting with someone who's just living right next to me, and I'm like, even in the elevator, I might not be the one to start the conversation. So, and it's also because I think everyone's giving you space. I understand that concept as well, but it sometimes just gets to you, right?
It's one thing it's a love-hate relationship. I love and hate about Hong Kong at the same time. Everyone gives you space, so you get to do whatever you want. You get to be yourself. You get to be your own individual. You don't feel like you always have to appease and live up to people's cultural, social expectations of you. But the reverse of that is you are alone. People don't want to encroach in your spaces. People don't want to interact with you. And it always has its downsides. One thing I wanted to mention was, do you follow Hong Kong news?
I do.
Then
actually, I don't follow an account, but it somehow just turns up on my Instagram or any of the feed. And it's interesting news, actually.
Comparatively, what news do you read more? Pakistani news or Hong Kong news?
Pakistani news.
Similar. I know 99% of what's happening in Ghana. If you ask me what was the news cycle dominated by in Hong Kong in the past week, I can't tell you.
No. I don't know about what's happening in Hong Kong, but I do know like I can't jaywalk anymore, so I know about that. That just shows up on my Instagram feed or something. Those kinds of informations do come up. But I don't think anything regarding the type of news that I'm used to, I don't think I get it over here in that sense.
Is it you don't pursue it?
I don't pursue it, I think.
Which is the weird part, because it's like you're here, but then it's such a subconscious thing that you would feel a lot more at ease reading news about home than reading news about here.
True.
It's like I go to Hong Kong news websites and I'm like, what do I read? What is interesting? What do I need to know? I can't seem to figure that out. Take me to a Ghanaian news website and I can tell you the 6 things that are most important and the rest that are gibberish.
But I think that's also because we're used to the news and we know what to look for in that news. That's why it's also interesting to us. Over here, we don't know what yet to look for. Like it's only been, I think.
But that means we are also living in isolation of the system.
True.
Because you gradually don't know what's happening. You don't know what's going on. You don't get to quite integrate. even with news.
True.
As superficial as that may seem, with information, you don't get to eat.
I mean, when I came to Hong Kong, I did turn on the TV.
Bro,
that was a new experience.
You have to talk about this.
I don't know what was happening. I was looking for something in English. I was trying to just figure it out.
Talk about this because my apartment has a television, and at that time it was between that and my phone because I've not yet gotten my laptop. It was between that and my phone. But I put on the television. I put the effort. I put on the television. And I couldn't figure out what was happening.
Yeah.
It was on for about 15 minutes. I realized I quickly got distracted back to the phone. And I put it off. And since that day, I've been in that exact same apartment for 1 year, 6 months. I've never put that television back on again.
Yeah, I mean, imagine, like, you're looking for apartments and they actually promote the TV as for you, but it doesn't make a difference for you.
It genuinely doesn't make a difference for me because now I'm looking for an apartment and I'm like, yeah, we have 2 televisions. Okay, next, because I won't watch it. I don't know what's on there and I can't relate to what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. If it's not that, maybe I get to log onto my Netflix account and watch it from there, which is just then offering me a bigger screen than my laptop. I don't know what else you're offering me with the television.
True. Yeah. I mean, but it's still an experience, right? It was fun at the first, because when I came, the first thing that I watched was the races, like the jockey club races, the horse races. And I went to the jockey club to figure out like how to bet or something. Like I wanted to experience it, but I couldn't get it done because the initial experience was watching it on TV and then going there in person and saying, still don't get anything. What's happening? So it's a fun experience.
Bro, it's really, really interesting. Like things that you take for granted back home, you come here and you realize like there are the things that you have to either spend so much time making a decision on, or things that all of a sudden become a big deal.
Yeah.
Like even something as mundane as where do you sit on a bus? Like when you pick the bus, you are just praying that you are one of the first people to get to a place you want to sit. And if you don't get to sit there, there's an existential crisis. Because now you need to scan the entire bus and figure out where exactly do I sit to feel comfortable.
Yeah. Actually, one fun experience that I had with buses was because when you tap in, right?
Yeah.
So it makes a noise and it's like, okay, you've been charged for it and you take your seat. So my first experience, I do it and I take a seat, but the person is saying that, hey, someone did not tap in, right? And I'm concerned because it's my first time, right? So I was like, okay, do I get charged again for this? Or like, do I? But it doesn't charge you again.
Yeah.
It just shows that, okay, this person has already tapped in. So small experiences, small things that I think but I really like it because the public transport system in Pakistan isn't the same, right? It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
it's probably the best.
Hong Kong public transport system is really amazing. So let's talk about loneliness and depression. There's a lot of immigrants and it's quite a pivot, right? I speak to a lot of immigrants, like especially in the UK and in the US, because that's where a lot of the Ghanaians I know are. And one of the things that they always talk about, with the exception of one person who I've seen online who has said it's not true that you get lonely or depressed in there, there are lots of them whose main issue is you don't have friends, you don't make friends, the demands of the system is such that you don't get the time to have a social life, and so you end up being drowned in loneliness and boredom, and then that could result in depression. What makes it worse is that because people back home view you as an expat, they view that everything is going well for you, and every time you try to complain about anything, the pushback is, you've gotten this life and your worry is you're bored? Really? Like people then don't understand what it means for you to not have friends to mingle with, or to not be able to just call someone and say, hey, I'm coming over to see you or something like that.
So when I was making the decision to come to Hong Kong, I had a discussion with my dad, right? And he was like, okay, I understand everything. Like, okay, you're making a shift and everything. But there's one thing that was his primary argument to have me stay back, right? It was that you have friends here. You can meet them at 12 at night. You can meet them at 4 at night. There's no restrictions. You can drive to them. these are all things that you are not looking, you're not thinking about them right
you're not
now.
valuing them now.
You're not valuing them right now. And obviously I'm like, I'll make new friends, I'll enjoy, it's a new place, I'll have fun. But now it makes sense to me. Like, even if you're trying to make a plan, took an hour to make a plan back home. Over here, it takes weeks.
It takes days. Like, we're doing it now. We're trying to decide on a day to meet for games.
Yeah.
And bro, everyone has a very different schedule. There need to be a poll and a vote on WhatsApp to decide. Like, we need to have a whole electoral system just to decide on which day we're going out as friends.
What I'm thinking right now is, like, for me, it's just, hey, everyone just come over, we play games.
Yeah.
But now it's become, it's becoming like a major thing for me now, and I have to plan it out somehow.
It's an international event. It's a conference. You have to negotiate and
I'm thinking about the menu now.
You have to now, bro. So because now everybody's palate is different. You have to think about the menu.
Yeah.
Not just the menu, an inclusive menu.
Yeah. It's different then.
Yeah.
And I think, like I mentioned before as well, the way the houses are, and like how you're tied in for a year with the place that you buy, we were discussing. It does affect the way you live, because you wake up, there's walls on all sides, and that really kicks in.
In my block, or on my floor, you have, like, I'm on the 5th floor, there's 5A, 5B, 5C. In 5A, there are 3 rooms. Till this day, I'm in 5A1. Till this day, I don't know who lives in 5A2 and who lives in 5A3.
Yeah.
I've never met them. I've never interacted with them. And if they come and knock on my door and say hi, my first inscription will be, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Because I've never met them before.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was the same for me as well. I lucked out with one thing. I had some friends over here.
Yeah.
So the first time that I came here, I stayed at the hotel, and then I immediately moved in with another friend, because the person he was living with was moving out. Okay. So I lucked out with that part. But once he was leaving, I had to find my own place, because I'm like, I'm not staying in a 2-bed. I don't need a 2-bed. I just need a bed. Right. So I got this place, and it was okay. I wouldn't say there was, but it wasn't something that, maybe you can invite friends over or like just hang out with them. It was always like going out. Now, after I got married in December, sorry, not Jan, I actually found a place, lucked out with it. It's better, but you do still feel those same issues, right? So you see that people interaction with people and is very important, especially within a structure like this. If it was back home, I would still say that, I have my room, I'm just going to chill, I'm just going to enjoy. But after a certain point in time, it starts hitting you. And it really does push you to a point. We were discussing, my wife and I were just discussing this part as well, that we're going to get mad. Like, we're talking to each other like every day. At some point, we're going to go crazy. I don't know.
It's do you also get the experience of, when you make some of these complaints or comments, people back home cannot appreciate the seriousness of it?
Yes, that's true. So there are certain limitations. So Pakistan is the culture is very different, right? Over here, you have access to a lot of other things as well. You have liberty to, like, maybe be how you want to be, dress how you want to dress, right? Over there, you don't. So for anyone who's living there or who you're having interactions with, they're always like, hey, this is a step up from where you were.
That's all they are viewing.
You're not being, thankful for what you have or something. But they don't also realize that maybe you've gained something, but you've also lost something.
It's the thing that people always miss out on, that sure, you can tout all you want about the gains and the progress, but there's a significant loss in here. And especially for us growing up in a space where that was the foundation of who you were, that was the most significant part of your life, not having it, maybe right from the jump, it doesn't hit you. Down the line, it does. It does hit you that I actually want to go out, but with who? Like, I want to talk to someone, but who? I wake up 6 a.m. and it's 10 p.m. for my folks. By 9 a.m. here is 1 a.m. Everybody's asleep. They wake up at 6 a.m. and it's 2 p.m. peak of my work. I don't get to talk to them and be interacting with them. So even time zone differences and your inability to match your schedules with people and interact with them on a regular basis, it's almost unthinkable.
True. Yeah. I think I don't have that much of a time zone issue, but definitely it does affect you because it takes away the time that you could interact with them over there. So I think that definitely affects.
And some of my friends who are watching this would say that why do I care? Because I'm known for not going out anyway. Right?
I know that.
I'm known for being in my room, even back in Accra. There are very few times I went out to meet friends or interact with people. So for me as a person, I don't mind, right? My problem is I need to have it as an option because there are days when I want to go out. There are days or moments when I just want to explore and chat with friends and all that. Now I can't do that. Even when those days come, you still now have to take 3 weeks to make a decision before you figure out, and then that feeling goes away.
No, that's the only reason I agreed to this podcast was because at least you'll get out of your house. You'll see a new place in Hong Kong, probably.
I've actually seen a new place. I was speaking to Wesley, my girlfriend, when I was coming, and I said, I'm now seeing places in Hong Kong I've never seen since I came here, and it's been almost 2 years. So the journey here itself is an experience. It's been an exposure for me. Now let's talk about Hong Kong as a place.
Okay.
You've been here. Is this a place you'd want to stay for much longer? And what has been your assessment of the place so far?
I think yes, first, I would want to live here. But it's more about getting used to a few things or making some compromises along the way for me. My general view of things is that if you have a good set of people in a place that you can interact with, you can like have fun with, I think you can survive anywhere.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that support group, if you don't have those people who you don't have to find a reason to meet, you just meet them and it's the same as always with them.
Yeah.
I think you can survive in a place like this. Now, with respect to Hong Kong, but it's...
the funny part of what you just said? Yesterday, someone posted on their status that the privilege of having parents who still give you money when you are old is not spoken about enough. And my response to that was the privilege of having parents, full stop.
Yeah.
The excess bit. The privilege of having parents.
Yeah.
The people, their presence, that privilege is not spoken about.
True.
And that's essentially what you are talking about. That just having people around you that you can live with, experience stuff with, and then survive with.
Yeah, even like not being here even. Just like the idea that you can call and you can talk to them and you can discuss things, even if it's a small thing that's happening in your life.
Yeah.
Just to share that, it really does make you feel like, okay, I can survive 2 more days, 3 more days, and then I'll get back to it and just get the support. But I think that really does help you. But as a place, I think it's very convenient. So my thing is, I don't like to depend on it. Right? If I have to do something, I get it done. I don't like to depend. Now that I'm married, I try to depend on a few things, just to make a statement on that. But
I'm scared of trouble.
But I think it's pretty easy to go around, which I like about it. The second thing I really like is that. Not the weather. I don't think the weather is nice. Right now, it's pretty bad for me. I don't like it. But I think it's just that you have access to, even if it's hot or even if it's humid, you have options. You can go to a beach or you can there are activities that are there with respect to the weather as well. Because Pakistan is pretty hot. It's like 43-degree Celsius, so it's pretty bad. I think probably heat waves also start coming in around this time. So I mean, I can't choose. That's the thing. I gain some, you lose some, but at least it's something that I would want to definitely think about. I think it's not a hard no for me at any point.
For me, the best part of it is everybody minds their business.
Yeah. For you, yeah, I would say that. That might be a huge plus for you.
A very huge part. Everybody minds
But the thing, you see, the thing about that is that, sure, everyone minds their own business, but sometimes you need help. So you don't even ask for help then. You're figuring out your own way.
Bro, no, I'm not accepting this criticism. I'm not. Okay, fair enough. Fine.
Because I don't ask for help then. I just try to figure out my phone's dead. How do I get back home? Which number do I take?
Figure it out.
Yeah, I do. After going to three places, at least I travel.
Go to a 7-Eleven and pick a charger pack.
Bad experience with that as well. First time I had to do that, I didn't know how to take it out. Like how to charge it, or whatever. I couldn't just take it.
But there are people at 7-Eleven. Just ask them.
Yeah, that was a tough conversation for me as well. It wasn't the best conversation for me.
At this point, you're worse than I am. From this perspective, I'm way better. Because then I would be okay asking for help, especially if I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also one of those people who struggles with that at times. Like if it's initially, I would try to get it done myself.
Yeah.
But I do struggle with asking for help at times. But when you know that everyone is doing their own thing, you then struggle with it a bit more as well.
It's one conversation I had with my aunt the other time, and I said, one of the things that people don't realize about being an immigrant is you can almost never ask for help when you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're a coward, it's that you don't have people that you can absolutely guarantee would have your back.
Yeah.
Like you don't have family present. If you're home and you're in trouble, you could know a few people that you would go to and say, this person would absolutely have my back. And so I can tell them what's happening and then get help from them. So one thing I try to do with my interactions with them is to say, you should know that this is a caveat around my life here. That when I'm in trouble, it's me.
Yeah.
When you are in trouble, it's you and the family.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to think about
my
status here from that perspective and figure out how to give me room to be self-sufficient without most of the time finding myself in that.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm still not coming to help you move out though. Just want to let you know.
No. You're doing that. You're doing that.
I'm still not coming here.
I'm filing an HR report.
I have a feeling this podcast was, and the questions are made so that you can ask me that, hey man, can you help me out? I need to move out. Can you help me with the stuff?
Yes, I'm going to ask you. Because as you said, it's me alone, no family. People don't want to help. It's so hard asking for help, man.
I moved out twice, man.
You never asked me.
That's true.
And I didn't even know.
That's my issue.
No, that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, it is.
That's not a me problem.
I agree.
Okay. Well, a little bit about work.
Yeah.
You work as a debate coach, as myself. We came from two very different debating cultures in Pakistan and Ghana. And Hong Kong as a debate industry has been very eye-opening for me, for instance, because the seriousness with which people take it, the commercial value attached to it. And it's quite intriguing to see something that we did as a sport, with passion in school, for the fun of it, with friends, become a profession. The question I want to ask you is, comparing debate as a job versus debate as an activity and a sport, which one do you enjoy more? And do you think that becoming a professional in that space takes away from the fun part of the experience?
Okay, so I did like competitive debating. I still like it.
Yeah.
But I think at some point, it started becoming a bit of a negative thing for me, because over competitiveness and the type of personality that does come out in situations, and I've talked to you about this before with you as well. I somehow started to envy it. Like I was like, this, no, I don't think, and that's why I think as a debate coach, it's much simpler for you. You don't have to become too competitive. You do become competitive through your students. But I don't think that type of a culture exists in Hong Kong, though. It existed.
It does.
because I haven't seen that much,
Maybe because of the comps. So
yeah.
when I go to Singtao, you'd see
Oh yeah,
a
yeah.
coach sitting there analyzing you and what you're doing, and it's like when you beat them, the coach takes it personal.
Oh yeah.
Because they feel like you've beaten them.
Yeah.
Not the students beating each other.
Yeah.
It's like you have beaten them, and so now they go like, I need to get back at
But
this
like
guy.
in comparison, if you think,
Yeah.
like probably the debating culture, like what I've perceived is from in your country would have been it's more competitive,
Way more
way more.
competitive.
It's same for us. It's
Yeah.
it's way more competitive, I feel, than Hong Kong. And when you mentioned the commercialized aspect of it,
Yeah.
I also realized this one thing: students over here I don't see that competitiveness in them as well.
Yeah.
It's, hey, this is a tournament, we lost. Okay, we'll see about next year. But throughout the year, they're not doing anything
Yeah.
to improve on that, right? I think, and the way it is over there, it's throughout the year. So even if you're on summer break, you're coming for camps, you're
Yeah.
prepping for it because your nationals start in August, and then
Yeah.
there's another tournament, and that's how you will make the Pakistan team.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of structure is, I think it's a bit different over here. And I don't mind it because I'm like, I think the last competitive tournament that I spoke was in 2019.
Yeah.
So I'm way out of it now.
I mean, for me, I don't know how to put this, but I feel like teaching debate is not as exciting as it promised to be. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't enjoy doing it. I obviously enjoy doing it compared to going to do some other job because it's something I love, and it has like, you occasionally get those excitement bursts because you thought about some brilliant case, some brilliant idea, and you're interacting with it. It's more like when you're debating, it's a sport.
Yeah.
As a competition thing, it's a sport. When you are a coach, it's education. It's a teaching thing. And it's more about debate education than competitive debate, especially in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And so the task for you is not, it's more of you being a teacher than you being a coach, probably. The coaching aspect of it is very little. The teaching aspect of it is more heavy. And so now you have to figure out, how do I turn all the years of debate experience into a curriculum? How do I dumb in down to the most basic of debaters and kids and draw them in? And that part sometimes can be exciting, but I bet you don't think of debate coaching that way when you think about you one day becoming a debate coach when you're competing. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
I get it.
Because when you're competing, you look at the coaches around you and you're like, I want to be like them. I want to be like this guy who's training the national champion and with a 2-week intensive camp, and all you do is eat, sleep, debate. This is the logo of the KNUST, a motto of the KNUST Debate Society, by the way. Eat, sleep, debate. They go for debate camps for 2 weeks before nationals. And all they do, wake up in the morning, debate, go for breakfast, debate, go for lunch, debate, go for supper, debate, sleep, wake up 12 midnight, debate till morning. That's not how debate education works.
No, so when I didn't say that I like. I just want to clarify that. I only said that in comparison.
Yeah.
I think that at this point, I think I don't want to be, involved. I don't want to be that competitive.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people, not the best of people come out when those situations, right? Yeah, I've seen friendships end because of debate competitions, right? So yeah, at this point, I'm just like, I don't like teaching. I mean, it's fine. It's fun. It is exhilarating. You enjoy when your students do good or when your team wins, right? But it's just that I would see it as a way to carve some other profession, in which would be probably in within management and education, that I feel that it can really improve for me in that sense. But
I mean, a few more questions and then we can wrap up. Well, one thing I wanted to know is, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned in debate that you applied to gain a competitive advantage in real life? And I don't mean like competing with people, but as in putting yourself or giving yourself an edge. Because recently I started sharing some of mine on on LinkedIn. And one of the things I spoke about was this old age thing of probability versus plausibility, where in one breath you can prove that something is possible, but you also have to prove that it is the most likely occurrence or the most likely outcome. And the way in which I apply it to my life is, for instance, if I'm in an interview or if I'm presenting a project or if I'm in a meeting, I'm not just listening to people's thoughts on, let's do this because we can do it. I'm also assessing, why is it the most likely thing to be successful? Why am I the most likely person to execute this? Obviously, you would interview maybe 7 candidates for this position. But why do I think I'm the most likely person to give you the results that you want? I use that extra layer, which I learned from debates, to try and give myself a little bit of an added advantage in clarifying why I should specifically be the person. So are there any debate lessons you pick and then apply them in?
I think one thing for sure would be, we have this assumption that debating is about speaking your mind. I don't think it is that. It's about making sure whatever's on your mind, what's the best way possible
to say it.
And whether it's corporate, whether it's whatever profession you're in, the way you talk from a position that you're in matters a lot. If I want to show disapproval to something, or I would say that I disapprove with this policy, or this, they shouldn't be doing this, my way of doing it wouldn't be to say, hey, this is wrong, I don't think you should be doing this. It's that give them some comfort that I'm on your side, and then try to help them throughout that process. How do you say it? How well you're able to capture their attention? I think those kinds of things really do work out. And I honestly, that's how I felt debates was for me as well. It's not about making sure that you're taking a very harsh stance on things. It was about what's the most strategic thing for you to do in a situation.
That's actually very interesting, because there are lots of people who fall into the trap of, I say this because that's what I'm thinking and that's what's on my mind and that's what I believe in. And all those things are right? But you also have to think about, how do I say this in a way that communicates exactly what I believe, but also to make sure that it elicits the specific type of response that I want. And that's a superpower that debate gives you. Because part of debaters' ability is to always speak to persuade judges that you never know, which means you're always thinking about, how do I say this to elicit a specific emotion, a specific thought, a specific feeling, a specific assessment of the situation. And that means your persuasive power is always a notch higher than most people.
I think it's because it's not that simple. You don't just want, a reaction out of the person. You want to get your job done.
A specific set of reaction.
So I think that really does help you with that. And just to get your mind together on things. Like, I'm one of those people. I think I try to streamline things pretty much for me. Like, even when I used to give exams, right? I would waste 2 days just to make a structure that, okay, on this day I would do this day I would do this. And then after 2 days, I'm like, okay, let's start. But I just wasted 2 days on doing that. So I think that's one other thing that I feel, the structure of life. How do you structure your life? What do you think the outcome is going to be? I think planning it is key. And that clarity is something that does come with, competitively being in these tournaments or debating, even coaching. I think it really helps you with that as well.
For me, I always tell my students 2 things. And I told a team that I was training over the weekend one thing. I asked them, what is the most important attribute of a third speaker? Because some debate formats are 3 speakers on each side, and the third speaker is mainly supposed to listen to the opposition side and then respond to them. And they were like, responses? I said, no. They were like, being quick? I said, no. And I said, decision making. Because you are listening to about 40 minutes of discussions that are happening. You have 7 minutes to discuss all that huge content of information. And so your biggest asset is being able to decide what is relevant, what is not, what do I talk about, what do I not talk about.
What do I talk about first and what do I talk about at the end? Prioritize.
Decision making. And that's in every aspect of our lives. Every aspect of our lives. Sitting here, it's a decision. Not sitting here is a decision. Applying for a specific job is a decision. Taking a specific approach is a decision. And so decision making is a very, very big part of the human experience.
Don't know if this was a bad or good decision though. And I'll stick to it.
And so being a debater is one superpower that it gives you that I don't think people recognize and appreciate that much.
True.
And also I get to listen a lot. Like, debate forces you to listen. In a 1 hour debate, you only speak for about 8 minutes, which means for the rest of the time, you are forced to sit and listen to other people.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's enjoyable, it builds a habit over time. And that means you are a better listener when you sit in meetings, you're a better listener when you speak to people. And it would shock you how good listening can change a lot of things about the way you work, about opportunities, your relationship with people as well.
For sure.
For me, debate is a huge superpower. It's a huge flex to get to experience debate and to get to practice it.
I think even also one thing that I've seen in a lot of experiences with corporate life or just friends in general is even when you're saying something, their answer would be just something completely random.
Yeah.
And that annoys me a lot, right? So if you're not understanding my point or the question that I'm asking you and you're just giving a random answer, right? Obviously, I'm pissed about that. I don't want to interact.
One of the big things about being a debater, your standard for having a good conversation is so high.
Yeah, true.
It's so high. You ask someone a question and you're expecting an elaborate and like a detailed interaction. They're like, yeah, I agree.
People listening to this will be thinking how narcissistic we both are. Oh, we're debaters. Oh, level of conversation for us is too high, guys. You can't have a conversation with us.
No. I genuinely advise a lot of people to explore the idea of debate. Even if not for competitive reasons, just explore the academics of it.
True.
How to construct an argument, how to present yourself, how to persuade someone. What are the elements of persuasion? If you disagree with someone, how do you communicate that disagreement in a very compelling and persuasive way?
True. Yeah.
Because these days, everybody knows something.
Agreed.
You need to be able to be compelling in your discussions.
Yeah. I think even the perspective of, even if it's the same information, the perspective from which they're coming or the culture or the background that they come from, their take on it is very new. I really like those ideas, like big ideas, like things that completely disrupt what my understanding of things is.
Always. Anyway. It's been really nice having this conversation with you. I'm not sure whether you say. Do you still regret?
No.
Be careful of your next words, though.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to hold my comments. Once the camera stops, I'll give my comments.
But yeah, thanks for joining me in this episode.
Thank you so much for having me.
Evaded it for what? For 7-8 months, 6 months?
I don't know why now even.
To end up here.
No, I don't know. I think you weren't that convincing. I
wasn't that convincing.
Yeah, you just said that we're going to have a conversation. I was like, we have that every day. What's new about it? Are people going to learn anything?
Bro.
Has anyone learned it?
I think people have.
Okay.
And I'm sure people have.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks so much for joining us on this episode. It's been nice. I love these podcast episodes because for me, they are not pressure conversations, not too scripted. They are fun, interactive, entertaining. And today I had the opportunity to chat with a friend, which is an added bonus. And thanks so much to Dream Focus HK, who are taking this episode with focus. And I'm sure that you enjoy every single focus of the camera. And you should check them out with the links in the bio. So thanks, everyone, and see you on the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.